Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
Ger Sweeney presents Live on Eire in association with emeraldconnection.net.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
I'm going to have to check in a second to make sure that I am actually on. Good evening and welcome. Nice to have your company this evening. Howard had some technical problems and I in turn had some technical issues. We'll see if that's all figured out now as we go along. Excuse me one second. All right. Still no confirmation. Anyway, before we go anywhere, can I say a big thank you, just in case we are on, a big thank you to Howard Burton for Spain today. Thanks a million, Howard. Much appreciated. And I didn't catch much of it, to be honest, but as always, I'm sure it was interesting. I did like that piece of music that you had at the very end of the programme there, which is nice. Yes, we are live. Okay, that's good. That was me. You see, when I do what I do, it takes about 30 seconds for you to hear it. So it means that if I want to listen to the radio, to make sure that I'm on, then I have to wait about 30 seconds. And if it doesn't quite work out that way, then the BBC would have kicked in. But I think we're okay. We're grand. Okay. Now I've had to, rejig the system that I have, which means that I have to unrejig it or unjig it, very shortly. And I'll do that during a commercial break. So we won't be panicking just yet. Alrighty. But there we go. Right. Anyway, welcome to Live on Eire. A little bit of a bumpy start for us, but that's all right. Who do we have on the programme this evening? Okay. A lovely programme lined up for you. Patricia is going to join me, and Patricia will be telling us the final story in the series on talking about the bodies of water on the island of Ireland. And you can hear my phone going. That's people saying loud and clear. Thank you very much. Good to know there's someone listening. You're all very welcome. But we're going to be talking. So Patricia will have that final story on that. And the next time we hear from Patricia, then she'll be starting a brand new series for us. That's in the first hour of the programme. So I'm looking forward to that, obviously. Yes, indeed. Now, it is the 6th of March, so we are only 11 days away from St. Patrick's Day. Normally on the programme, just before St. Patrick's Day, I speak with the ambassador, the Irish ambassador to Spain, Frank Smith. And it was Sheila Maguire before Ambassador Smith took over. But they're kind of, the conversations are commonplace between the two of us now, and it's always nice to speak with Ambassador Smith. But I'm going to do that tonight on the programme. I'm going to be speaking with him. And I'm also going to be talking at the same time with Susan Bolger. And Susan is the marketing manager for Tourism Ireland in Spain. And the reason I'm doing that is because Susan is the person whose both shoulders are to the wheel when it comes to the events that are planned for the Madrid area particularly, but she also has a little bit of a handle on some of the things that are happening in other places in Spain as well. So I'll be talking to both of them. In fact, sorry, I won't be. I did already, and you'll hear that I spoke with them yesterday. And thanks to Ambassador Smith and to Susan Bolger for sparing the time to talk to me. So you'll hear that in the second hour of the programme as we head towards St. Patrick's Day. And speaking about that, next week on the programme, I'll be able to give you a little bit of a rundown as to some of the things that are happening across Spain. I know Terry McKinley is going to join me, the president of the Irish Association in Spain as well. And we'll have other bits and pieces to tell you. So there you go. So that's what we have for you tonight on the programme. Patricia, Ambassador Smith and Susan Bolger. So what more do you want? What more do you want? And I hope that it's been a good week. I haven't been with you since Friday. I was sitting in for Dave all last week. And so, yeah, I haven't been with you since last Friday. And I hope that it was a nice weekend and a good week. You might be looking forward to the rugby this weekend. And in Ireland, we are looking ahead to a referendum. There are two questions being posed in the referendum that we have on Friday in Ireland, and all sides in the upcoming referendums on family and care have been urging people to vote on Friday amid concern that there would be a low turnout. And I think there might be a low turnout because I was listening to a couple of Vox Pops on Irish radio a little earlier on, and a lot of people not very sure as to what it's all about. And when it comes to, like, I got my voting card in the post the other day, and on that you can detach the card itself, and then you have the wording that you're going to get. I'm looking for it. Here it is. The wording that you're going to get on the two ballot papers, and you can just put X on yes or no on whichever one you want to do. And the language is very obscure, and in some cases in the second one it's very legalistic as well, and you kind of look at it and say here, but if the information is out there, but you've got to go digging for it to find out exactly what it means, and there seems to be a little bit of apathy, and there seems to be a little bit of concern, and I would imagine it's going to be a low turnout. But next week on the programme we'll have a little bit more information on that. The independent chairman or chairperson of the Electoral Commission has said that there has been huge public engagement with the current referendum campaign, and that she hopes that there will not be a low turnout on Friday. Meanwhile, the Commission has revealed that over 200,000 have checked the register in recent weeks to make sure that their details are correct, and hopes that this will boost turnout on the family and care referendums. Miss Justice Mary Baker, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, has been taking part in dozens of media interviews and public events in recent days to impart information to voters and also to encourage us to vote. Yeah. She has been very vocal, and she has been extremely busy, and fair play to her, because she really has put the time and the effort in, and we'll see what happens on Friday. Other good news today: Irish citizen Yasser what's his second name? El Jabouri. That's it. Yasser El Jabouri. He was detained in Iraq for a number of days last week, you may recall. Well, he's arrived back in Ireland and has been reunited with his wife and 3 children. The anti-corruption advocate, who had travelled to Iraq on his Irish passport to visit relatives there, was arrested by authorities at Baghdad airport on Monday, the 26th of February, and he was, as he was due to get on a flight home. Now, his family in Iraq were told that he was being held in relation to defamation charges against Iraqi political leaders, including the Prime Minister. He was remanded in custody until Thursday before being released on bail. However, authorities had retained his passport and had been told that there would be 2 to 3 days of paperwork to complete. But on Sunday, his legal team was told that 2 additional charges had been filed against him. On Monday, it emerged that both of the new complaints against him they'd indicated to his legal team that they were no longer wished to proceed with those charges. Mr. El Jabouri received his passport and belongings yesterday and began his journey home. And the good news, as I said, is that he is now back in Ireland. Transport Minister Eamon Ryan has been warned that a large cohort of drivers will not make the switch from cars to public transport unless he steps in to ensure their safety. SIPTU, which represents more than 7,000 members in the transport sector, SIPTU would be the union, a particular union, described a considerable increase in the use of crack cocaine by problem passengers in recent months. In a letter to the Green Party, who is also the Green Party leader, who is also the Environment and Climate Minister, it warned of the environmental impact and wasted investment if he does not tackle abuse on buses, trains and trams. SIPTU also said that all the black workers that it surveyed had suffered abuse from passengers. This was at a time that hiring had increased among a more multicultural population, it added. The union represents workers at Eire Road Éireann, that'll be Irish Rail, Transdev staff who work on the Lewis, that's the tram service in Dublin, and employees at Bus Éireann, Dublin Bus, Go Ahead and Air Coach. It called for a meeting to discuss measures, including a new dedicated security unit to alleviate the unacceptable situation. The letter said it supported significant investment from the Exchequer, which aims to increase capacity and encourage commuters away from private vehicle use, with its undoubted benefits on the environment and on congestion. If this investment is to fully achieve such goals, then the safety and security of workers and passengers must be improved. Without this, a large cohort of potential passengers will not make the switch, the letter from SIPTU Transport Sector Organiser John Murphy said. He called for a transport charter outlining what is acceptable behaviour towards workers and passengers. Mr Murphy said that a National Transport Authority Advisory Council should be set up immediately, as outlined in the Dublin Transport Act in 2008. In a separate letter to Fianna Fáil Senator Gerry Harkin, Deputy Chairman of the Joint Committee on Transport and Communications, Mr Murphy said that the union was investigating the issue of illegal drug abuse by passengers. A spokesperson for the Department of Transport said that antisocial behaviour was a broad societal issue to which public transport was unfortunately not immune. And those who regularly use and work within our public transport network are most directly impacted by any safety or security incidents that may occur on the network, the spokesperson said. The safety and security of both public transport passengers and staff, including arrangements to deal with antisocial behaviour, are important matters that, first and foremost, must be managed by every public transport company in conjunction with An Garda Síochána, where appropriate. The spokesperson said that the department and the National Transport Authority regularly engaged with public transport operators, and a working group on antisocial behaviour that meets monthly had been set up. The issue of the transport police is a matter for Justice Minister Helen McEntee, the spokesperson said. Yeah, there's a bit of a can being kicked down the road, I think, in that particular one. But there you go. There's a lot of things have to be put in place in this country before we can get as green as they want us to get in relation to moving about and travelling, etc., 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 as they said in The King and I. There was a story during the week as well about a local guard in the Midlands, when during the pandemic, a senior gentleman who was isolated from, where he was living, and he had no transport and there was nobody calling to him. And the local guard in the local Garda station gave him the loan of a bicycle that had been stolen, but had been recovered, but hadn't been reclaimed by the owner. So it was sitting there gathering dust. And the guard, being a good community guard, said, look, this will help you out during the pandemic, and when it's all over, you can give it back to us. Well, wasn't he suspended, the guard? He was. And he was suspended for 3 years. And he was cleared of any wrongdoing this week at a hearing. But isn't it absolutely ridiculous that common sense could not prevail in such a situation? He was initially not working at all, and then he was brought back to do duties that meant that he couldn't deal with the public. What a waste of a public sector worker, and what a waste of an obviously good guard. But he's back now, hopefully back to work after being cleared yesterday after 3 years. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. You've heard me talking as well about the debacle at RTE. I'm not going to get into it in depth. No, I'm not going to do that. Definitely not. But I am going to tell you that there is a brand new chairperson. All right. At the weekly cabinet meeting yesterday, the government announced, or they sanctioned the appointment of the former KPMG managing partner, Terence O'Rourke, as the new chair of the RTE board. His appointment comes less than a fortnight after the shock resignation of Siúnní Rahalli, who in turn had replaced Moya Doherty in November of 2022. The latest development means that the national broadcaster has now had 3 board chairs in less than a year and a half, with the latest appointment intended to help bring calm to the ongoing storm at the station. Alrighty, so an interesting man by all accounts. Not somebody that would be well known outside the circle in Dublin, the circle being the business, the economics, the accountancy, that thing. He's also currently chairman of the ESB, the Electricity Supply Board, the ESB, and he's going to retain that chairmanship apparently while he is working with RTE, but has significant experience, and wish him well. He doesn't have an easy job, and let's hope that he manages to do quite well. Okay. Now, I'm just looking here. I am not going to play music because I need to play the music off the computer that I'm using to broadcast at the moment. So I want to switch back to the other computer. I'm after rebooting it. I think it should be all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a very quick break. And while that break is on, I'm going to try and do a little swap over. All righty. And I'll be back to you then just after that.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
I love it when a plan comes together. Hang on. Live. Yes, I love it when a plan comes together. We are live, aren't we? All good. Right, welcome back. Welcome to the second part of the programme. These things happen from time to time and we just have to get on with it and do what we need to do with it. I've been chatting now since just after 6 o'clock, after 7 o'clock, I beg your pardon. So will I play a bit of music? That would be the thing to do, I would imagine. Here's a girl that started singing when she was quite young. Naomi Coleman is her name. She's an Irish girl. She headed off to America and was living in California for some time. She's back and has been for some time, and she's creating some lovely music. And I thought we'd start with her today. Here's a track that's called My Star. When computers start acting the maggot, because it's like as if they talk to each other. They do. Anyway, there we have it, and off we go. That was Naomi Coleman and a song called My Star. Nice one, I like that. Alrighty, I forgot to tell you, by the way, as always, if you'd like to get involved in the programme, if you'd like to make a comment or ask a question or whatever the case might be, you're more than welcome to get involved. You can send a WhatsApp message to +34 645 99 67 95, or you can send an email to studio@tre.radio. And don't forget, as always, 24/7, if you'd like to get in contact for any reason. You won't get a reply 24/7, no, mind you, but if you'd like to, you can use my own email address, which is Ger, Ger, @tre.radio. Alrighty. Now, here's a nice story. A certificate awarded to the first Irish woman to win an Olympic medal will go up for auction in England this weekend. Beatrice Hill Lowe from RD in County Louth came third in archery at the 1908 London Olympics. It was a time when few women were permitted to participate in sport, making her achievement all the more remarkable. Besides her bronze medal, she was awarded a third place diploma certificate. Wow, which is now going under the hammer. The Olympic Federation of Ireland, the OFI, is poised to join the bidding. That would be nice. This year, the Olympic Federation of Ireland celebrates 100 years of Team Ireland competing at the Olympics and the 38 medals won by Irish people during that time. OFI Communications Manager Heather Boyle said that she said that the Federation is also very proud of the many athletes born in Ireland who either competed or won medals at the Games pre-1924 when the OFI was set up, and indeed after, representing other countries. Beatrice Hill Lowe was a pioneer in this regard, leading the way for Irish women at a time when she was in tiny minority of female athletes allowed to compete back in 1908. Hill Lowe could not compete for Ireland as there was no Irish Olympic team. Don't forget 1908. We weren't the Free State yet. No. She instead won her bronze medal as a member of the team representing Britain, but always regarded herself as Irish. Sure, why wouldn't she? Wasn't she born in County Louth? Archery was the only sport in which women were permitted to compete at the 1908 Olympics. Why would you think that is now? I'll tell you now. It was said that this was just because it was a sport in which they could compete fully clothed. Wow. Hill Lowe was one of only 37 women among 2,035 athletes from 22 countries who took part in the 1908 Games. She was born in RD House in 1868. She honed her archery skills in Ireland, where she could take down pheasant and grouse with an arrow before moving to England. She died in 1951 at the great age of 83. 12 years ago, her bronze medal was acquired by Louth County Museum. Curator there, Brian Walsh, said that Hill Lowe was the woman who paved the way for Irish medalists such as Katie Taylor. It now has the opportunity to add the illuminated certificate drawn by artist Bernard Partridge, who worked for Punch magazine. The certificate has a low starting estimate of just £100 to £150. Auctioneer Andrew Aldridge said it would be very nice if it went back to Ireland and could be reunited with Beatrice's bronze medal. But we will just wait and see how it goes on the day, he said. We wish them well. And it would be nice to see that certificate being reunited with its bronze medal, wouldn't it? Sinead O'Connor's estate has said that she would have been disgusted, hurt and insulted at her version of Nothing Compares to You being used at Donald Trump's political rallies. A joint statement from the late Dublin singer's estate and record label Chrysalis Records demanded the former US president desist from using her music immediately. It was O'Connor, it said O'Connor, who died last July, lived by a fierce moral code and had previously referred to Mr. Trump as a biblical devil. O'Connor follows on from a long list of artists who have demanded Mr. Trump desist from using their music for his political campaigns, including the Smiths, Johnny Marr, Rihanna, Neil Young, Linkin Park, and the late Tom Petty and Aerosmith frontman Steve Tyler. So there we go. It's gas, isn't it? It is. Of course, somebody said today on media, the man has 93 criminal charges facing him. He looks like he is, well, it doesn't look like anymore. He is the Republican nomination. He is the Republican nomination for President of the United States. Incredible. Back to Ireland. The Department of Sport has committed. No, I'm going to leave this actually because there's a bit in it, so I'm not going to do much on that, and I'm not going to do that. Let's do this one. Yes. I will do this one. A pub in County Galway in which the set of the Banshees of Inisherin was meticulously reconstructed. is for sale. The pub now is for sale, right? Not the reconstruction, but it's inside, so that'll go with it. Me's Pub. MWE, Me's Pub, located in the village of Kilkerran in County Galway, acquired the set of J.J. Devine's pub, where much of the action of the Oscar-nominated film took place. Owned by the Mee family since 2005, the pub has become a shrine to the dark Martin McDonagh comedy film, which tells the story of the tumultuous relationship between Pádraig Ó Suailleán, Colin Farrell, and Colm Doherty, Brendan Gleeson. Proprietor Luke Mee and several friends transported the entire set, piece by piece, from Achill Island in County Mayo, where the movie was filmed, to their family-run business in East Galway. The set includes a dark wood bar and glass panes in the windows and is an exact replica of its on-screen counterpart. The family-run pub also obtained the thatched roof from the set and added it on, as well as patching up the 1.5 feet thick walls and commissioning vintage signs to create the authentic Banshees environment. Another important character in the film is Jenny the Donkey, the local companion of Colin Farrell's character Pádraig. The Mee family has its own local donkey, Holly, who pops down from time to time to provide companionship and comfort to patrons in a manner that echoes the film's four-legged character, but is not a permanent fixture. Luke Mee is keen for the pub to be developed by the new owner as a tourist attraction for visitors seeking to connect with the film. He says that it has already attracted plenty of visitors. Indeed, it does. Alrighty. Now, let's see, what do we do? Oh yes, Patricia is joining us. She's going to tell us the final story in her series about the bodies of water. And let's take a listen and see what she has for us today. Patricia.
Well, hello, Ger. I've been talking about the wonderful rivers and lochs in Ireland, but today I'm going to mention other sources of water. Waterfalls. Now, waterfalls play an important role in the folklore and legends of Ireland. They're seen as magical and are steeped in mystery, and for some, they symbolise portals into another world. Just listening to the roar of the cascade can transport the human imagination into a different place. Ireland is privileged to have quite a few of these magnificent waterfalls, which, thanks to the rain, are always on display. In my previous talk, I mentioned one of the most romantic and impressive waterfalls, Glencar Waterfall in Sligo. However, it is not the highest. The highest is also nearby in Sligo. It is Sruch in Ireland, which is Irish for stream against the height. It also goes by the name of the Devil's Chimney. Now, it has that unusual name in Irish because there are times when the avalanche of descending water is blown upwards and back over the cliff. This happens when there are strong southerly winds blowing. The best time to see this amazing sight is on a windy day and after a heavy shower of rain. There are also times during particularly hot, dry weather when the waterfall dries up. But don't worry, those days are few and far between. Ireland has an abundance of rain, so you won't be disappointed. The waterfall is 150 metres high and is in the Dartry Mountains in the west of Ireland. It formerly marked the border between County Sligo and County Leitrim, and being the highest waterfall in Ireland makes it a must place to visit. Powerscourt Waterfall is set in the foothills of County Wicklow and is 121 metres high. It was formed 20,000 years ago from a melting glacier during the last ice age. Today, the beautiful surrounding parklands are inhabited by all types of wildlife, including sika deer and the native Irish red squirrel. It's also home to many types of birds, for example, chaffinches, cuckoos, ravens, and willow warblers. The woodland is filled with different types of trees, beech, oak, pine, larch, and even some giant redwoods. But of course, the most impressive feature is the majestic waterfall, which crashes down unceasingly, sending out sprays of water as it goes. Torc Waterfall at the foot of Torc Mountain is another outstanding waterfall in County Kerry. It's not one of the highest waterfalls, but it is set in the magnificent grounds of Killarney National Park. It's 20 metres high and 110 metres long. The word torc is Irish and means a wild boar. Asach Torc means the cascade of the wild boar. There's a legend which tells of a man who had been cursed by the devil to turn into a wild boar at night time. But when the local farmer disclosed his secret, he burst into flames and disappeared into a cave, which came to be called the Devil's Punch Bowl on Mangerton Mountain. The river Owen Gareth conveniently emerged to hide the entrance to his cave, which is hidden behind the Torc waterfall. There's also a legend which says that Finn McCool killed a magical wild boar on Torc Mountain with his golden spear. In a way, it's not surprising, as almost every place in Ireland has a legend attached to it. I remember going for a walk with my father in Inishowen in County Donegal and discovering the beautiful Glen Evan waterfall. It came as a surprise as he hadn't told me what we were going to see. It was spectacular and unforgettable. We had gone for picnics in the magical glens of Antrim several times, and he knew I loved the amazing scenery and was spellbound by Glencoe waterfall. It was like something out of a fairy tale. No two waterfalls are the same. The Ashley Falls on the Galway-Mayo border are not the highest falls, but they are breathtakingly beautiful as they crash over lines of rocks and flow into the River Eire, which then goes on to merge with Killarney Harbour. The Ashley Falls are situated in the beautiful landscape of Connemara, just north of the village of Leenane, where the counties of Galway and Mayo meet. Incidentally, the name Ashley comes from the Irish As Lea, which means grey waterfall. The waterfall is set in this beautiful, luscious green surrounded by ancient forests and mountains which exude peace and tranquility. It's almost like stepping into another world. The famous Irish film, The Field, which was directed by Jim Sheridan, was filmed in nearby Leenane and Killarney Harbour, and the scene involving a fight between Bull McCabe and the American was filmed at Ashley Falls. One of the highest waterfalls in Ireland is Glenshintsaquin waterfall in Kerry. It is 140 metres high and is spectacular. This extraordinary waterfall feeds several lakes in the valley, which was formed by glacier movements 70,000 years ago. The scenery is amazing, with the famous McGillicuddy Reeks on the horizon. Tullymore Forest Park in the mountains of Mourne in County Down can also boast beautiful falls on the River Shimna. They're not the highest falls by any means, but they possess a magnetism which is magical. Situated in the lush green Tullymore Forest Park, they are an invitation to peace and tranquility, away from the hustle-bustle of everyday life. They are almost hypnotizing as they allow time for reflection and contemplation in a setting which looks like something out of a fairy tale. Tullymore Forest Park covers a huge area of 630 hectares and has a wide selection of trees, including majestic oak trees, which, in years gone by, supplied the wood for the interiors of the White Star luxury liners, including, of course, the Titanic. The Belfast-born writer C.S. Lewis loved wandering in Tullymore Forest Park. To him, it was like delving into a mythical, magical otherworld, going through Gothic-style gate arches, bridges, grottos, and caves. It was the ideal place to find inspiration for his Tales of Narnia books. The popular series, The Game of Thrones, also chose Tullymore Forest Park as the ideal setting for Winterfell in its first series. The Kilfane waterfall is not one of the highest waterfalls, but it is an outstanding feature in the Kilfane Gardens, which date back to the 1790s. Over the years, the gardens fell into disuse. However, the current owners have managed to bring the gardens and waterfall back to what it was. The gardens still possess their charm, with wild nooks and crannies, fish ponds, stone bridges, hedge mazes, and a wealth of wildflowers. There is a pool at the bottom of the majestic waterfall, and the surrounding garden is an ideal place to have a relaxing picnic while listening to the peaceful music of the waterfall. Not all waterfalls are high, but each has its own particular charm. For example, there are delightful falls in the Clare Glens, a beautiful wooded area with the fast-running rapids of the Coolina River, which are popular with kayakers, but not only kayakers. Visitors are enchanted with the spectacular scenery of the Burren area and are attracted by the cascading waters. The Asaranka waterfall in County Donegal is sometimes referred to as the Ardara waterfall. It is truly spectacular, and the noise of the crash of the falls is magical. Unlike most tourist attractions, waterfalls are always at their best after a good shower of rain. Just writing this makes me feel the spray of the water on my face. I've only mentioned a few of the beautiful waterfalls in Ireland, but there are many more. Ireland is privileged as far as water is concerned. Climate change is real, and we should never underestimate the fact that water is necessary for our survival. Scientists warn us that long periods of heat waves are predicted for the foreseeable future, and measures should be taken now to prevent shortages of water when that happens. Ireland is privileged to have such a rich supply of that valuable commodity, water. In fact, rain is what makes Ireland such a special place.
I wish I just didn't think so much about love and life and where we all end up. And it's funny how it's just not a second thought until it comes to the fall. Yeah, I don't wanna fall, but this moment, it's golden. Yeah, this moment, it's golden. And the sky just painted a masterpiece, and my eyes just wanna stop and feast on the beauty of the second. And I swear right now you're everything, and I love you. It sounds like violins and the beauty of the second. Oh, I wish that I could smile at you every day until my eyes get tired, until my hair it's gray. And it's easy to forget what's real and right when it comes to the fall. Yeah, I don't wanna fall, but this moment, it's golden. Yeah, this moment, it's golden. And the sky just painted a masterpiece, and my eyes just wanna stop and feast on the beauty of the second. And I swear right now you're everything, and I love you. It sounds like violins in the beauty of the second. And the sky just painted a masterpiece in my eyes. Just wanna stop and feast on the beauty of the second. And I swear right now you're everything, and I love you. Sounds like violins in the beauty of a second. Ooh, 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 golden. Ooh, 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 golden.
That was only released last Friday. It comes from Riva. You've heard Riva on the programme previously. And that's her new single, which is called Golden. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to Patricia. Waterfalls. Aye. Always, waterfalls are always lovely, aren't they? Lovely sound off them, and they look beautiful. And yeah, kind of a calming kind of a thing, even though it's a rush of water and it's gushing. But yeah, it's calming. It's nice. Here's the story I was going to tell you about. There's a bit in it, and that's why... Oh, do you know what I'll do? No, I'll take a break, because once I start chatting, I want to go to music then, you see. So I'll go for the break and come back to me just after that, and I will give you that story. It's all to do with the Ryder Cup at Eire Manor in Limerick in 2027.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
And you, welcome back. It's nice to have your company. And it's all settled down very nicely now, hasn't it? It has. The Department of Sport has commissioned a fresh review of how much it will cost to host the Ryder Cup at Eire Manor in Limerick in 2027, and what economic impact the golf tournament will have. The government's current estimate is that it will spend 58 million on bringing the Ryder Cup to Ireland, but this does not include the cost of improving roads around Eire, and that badly needs to be done. Officials from the Department of Sport previously told the Public Accounts Committee that they do not know how much Eire Manor owner JP McManus is paying for the right to hold the event in September 27. Fáilte Ireland, the National Tourism Authority, has been appointed to manage the review. It has been asked to analyse a previous economic study which was completed 5 years ago and provide an updated assessment of the likely impact of hosting the biennial golf tournament between Europe and the United States, which is expected to attract 250,000 fans. The new study will include amended figures for the costs of hosting the Ryder Cup, including capital and current investment, total revenue directly generated, and a breakdown of revenue impacts, including the indirect impact and the induced impact, the department said. The review will also provide figures that will allow as direct a comparison as possible to the economic impact study undertaken for previous Ryder Cups events, including updating the existing economic model. The review is expected to be delivered in the coming weeks, and due to commercial reasons, it is not proposed to publish the review. You can understand that. The department pointed out that hosting the Ryder Cup at the K Club in County Kildare in 2006 was worth €143 million and says it is confident that the tournament in Eire will be worth well in excess of that to the Irish economy. The current estimate of €58 million includes the state paying 31 million to the European Tour organisation, of which 22.5 million is a licence fee. Wow. The remaining 8.5 million goes towards the annual Irish Open golf tournament and giving the other financial support to golf events. Another €8 million is to be spent on marketing of the Ryder Cup in association with the European Tour. All these figures are exclusive of VAT, which will be in and around €5 million. The government says it has also agreed in principle to allocate 19.365 million to support the staging of the tournament in Limerick, which will include transport, security, local authority costs, ceremonies and fan zones. The cost of improving the road structure around Eire has not been revealed. The town can expect an extra 17,000 cars on each day of the tournament. Now, I don't think they can, because I don't think any car is going to get within an ass's roar of the village of Kildare, of Eire. I can't see it happening. The car parks, it'll be all park and ride, I would imagine. Anyway, Junior Sports Minister Thomas Byrne has told the Dáil the department is working with Limerick City and County Council as well as the National Transport Authority to plan the safe and effective transportation arrangements for the hosting of the tournament. Mr. Byrne said as the original economic impact analysis and the costs of the tournament had been prepared in 2019, it was considered timely that these be reviewed at the midway point. He was responding to a question from People Before Profit TD Paul Murphy, who had asked if there is a set financial exposure limit to the Irish taxpayers' commitment, or if it is open-ended, and if a risk assessment on the costs had been put in place. Mr. Murphy said it's incredible that the public is to pay more than €60 million to host the Ryder Cup in Eire. This is 4 times the total core funding given to sports organisations, including the GAA, the FAI, Swim Ireland and Special Olympics Ireland in this country. Children are changing the side of pitches because of a lack of funding to provide changing facilities. Yet apparently we can afford this. Mr. McManus has never commented on how much Eire is paying to host the event. The billionaire acquired the venue in 2014 for a reported €30 million and spent about €50 million on upgrades, including a course redesigned by architect Tom Fazio. Yeah. Of course, if it was being played in Richard Boyd Barrett's constituency and his constituents and those he's seeking votes from were going to generate some cash and have an economic upturn, I think his attitude might be a tad different, I would imagine, because it's a no-brainer that the Ryder Cup will bring plenty and plenty and plenty of support and will generate multiples of what's been invested. That much is guaranteed, I would imagine. The Irish Deer Society, has said that the plan for an extension on open season on deer hunting to reduce herd numbers is absolutely flawed. Culling male deer will not reduce a herd, said Neil Ford, who is the public relations officer of the society. Open season on deer hunting was extended last week for another month on female and young deer and for a further 3 months on male deer. Announcing the extension, Minister of State for Nature, Malcolm Noonan, said overgrazing by deer has become a serious pressure for native woodlands and for peatland habitats. Minister for Agriculture Charlie McConalogue said that the wild deer population is having a significant impact on farmers. He was speaking on RTE's Morning Ireland today, and Mr. Ford said the current plan is absolutely flawed. The entire hunting community seems to be up in arms over it at this stage, which is quite right. He said, "You will not reduce numbers by reducing males. Any farmer involved with livestock knows that if he wants to increase his herd, he increases the number of females. If he wants to decrease his herd, he decreases the number of females. The current management model, a very rough model for managing deer, is for every male deer shot, you should take out 10 females. The opposite, if anything, is true." Deer are overgrazing on silage, especially spring grass, Mr. Ford said. They're causing a lot of problems for farmers in certain areas, but they are certainly not widespread yet. However, he said, if you keep putting pressure on them, which this particular move will do, we'll see the deer spreading further into areas because that's what happens. The deer themselves become pressured in one area and then they'll just move to an area where they don't feel pressured and you'll see deer spreading. There we go. As I said, dear. It's amazing when these problems have been tackled. You know, you've got so many different voices from different angles. You can imagine if they could all just get together on the one occasion and settle it and figure out the best way to do things. Wouldn't it be much better? We haven't played Bernadette Morris or Pierce O'Loughlin, on the programme before. But together they're making sweet music and they've got a brand new single. Tá Maclánus Denta is what it's called. Take a listen. I think you'll like it. We're not too far away from news at all now, but enjoy this in the meantime.
Tá Maclánus Denta, oh, Arare, Slimona, Katachni, and Faradin, Fucky mama, yeah, some way man on hand, her father, Gulcha, my match was made here last night to a man I
se hor Siúl me se corcaí Gus raid nó bhaile clia Go agus saoil ó chalín jazz Na jaca me se ríd Sí an bhandu a dag Ó chrí chráidir I walked up and I walked down and I walked for Dublin, Belfast town But no equal my true love How I found she's a wee lass that's left my heart broken
Isn't that lovely? Bernadette Morris and Pierce O'Loughlin and a song called Tom McClonagh's Denta. Current single from them and getting plenty of airplay as well. I'm delighted to be able to play it on Live on Eire tonight. I'm just looking out the window. It's still nice. It's still kind of light there. You know, it's not bright by any stretch of the imagination. You couldn't drive without your lights on or anything like that. But it's nice. And I'm just thinking, only 3 weeks away now from the clocks going forward. Easter Sunday morning is when they'll be going forward, the 31st of March. So looking forward to that, to make it nice and long evenings again. Be great. A Northern Ireland minister has said that he feels a sense of shame at the environmental crisis affecting Lough Neagh. If you're a regular listener, you would have heard a story about Lough Neagh from Patricia a number of weeks ago. Northern Ireland's Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs Minister Andrew Muir said that there are no quick fixes to the issues affecting the lake and that real and sustained improvements there will take decades. Lough Neagh is the biggest freshwater lake by surface area in Ireland and the UK. It supplies 40% of Northern Ireland's drinking water and sustains a major eel fishing industry. Noxious blooms covered large parts of the lake last summer and affected other waterways and beaches. Nitrogen and phosphorus from agricultural fertiliser running off fields were believed to be a major contributory factor. The spread of the invasive zebra mussel species is also understood to have played a role, as they have made the water clearer, allowing more sunlight to penetrate, stimulating additional algae photosynthesis. Climate change is another factor cited, with the highest water temperature at Lough Neagh recorded last June. Mr. Muir told members of the Legislative Assembly, the MLAs, that he had visited Lough Neagh in his first week in office. He said in the past 2 decades, the balance between growing the economy in Northern Ireland and safeguarding the environment had not been struck correctly. A starting point for dealing with the issues at Lough Neagh, Mr. Muir added, will be an environmental improvement plan being drawn up by his department. The blue-green algae issue, most notably seen in Lough Neagh, but also at various other water bodies in Northern Ireland, cannot be seen in isolation from the natural environment more generally. He said that the Environment Improvement Plan, which is a plan for significantly improving Northern Ireland's natural environment, will contain actions setting the direction of travel for the coming decades relevant to improving water quality, including at Lough Neagh. And once it's been received executive agreement, the Minister plans to bring a further and more specific paper on Lough Neagh with a more detailed action plan to a subsequent executive meeting. Mr. Muir said additional investment will also be required to tackle algae blooms and water quality issues. Glad to know that they have it in their sights, and fingers crossed for a speedy resolution. News on the way. See you shortly.
Talk Radio Europe.
Your voice in Spain.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
You're welcome to the second part of Live on Eire. As always, our line is open. If you would like to get in contact with us, you can send a WhatsApp message to +34 645 99 67 95, or you can send an email to studio@tre.radio. I'm going to be joined in this hour of the programme by the Irish Ambassador to Spain, Ambassador Frank Smith. I will also be joined by Susan Bulger, who is the marketing manager for Tourism Ireland in Spain. And we'll find out a little bit about what's happening in the embassy at the moment, maybe what they've been up to in recent times, look ahead to what they may have planned from the ambassador. And then from Susan, will be talking to me about some of the events that are happening around Madrid, around St. Patrick's Day. And in fact, it's not a day, it's a week, because if you've been listening to me in the last couple of weeks, I have been promoting Semana de Irlanda, Ireland Week, which kicks off next Monday. So opportunity knocked, and I decided it would be nice to have a chance to chat with the ambassador again on the programme and Susan and find out exactly what's happening during Semana de Irlanda. But first, I have some more old stories for you that I gathered. Now, I've mentioned the RTE scandal, and I mentioned that the new chair of the RTE board is or has been appointed since yesterday, and there was a lot of speculation, in fact, over the last 2 weeks as to who would replace Siún Rathalley after she was summarily fired on air about 2 weeks ago tomorrow, in fact. And one of the people that was mentioned on it was asked if he would be interested in the job, and he said taking that job is like trying to catch a falling knife. They were running away from it big time. But anyway, the RTE scandals and crises at other government agencies haven't sapped appetite, apparently, among qualified directors to join state boards. 3 out of 5, in fact 60%, of directors see personal or reputational risk as the main deterrent to being on a state board. A new survey by the Institute of Directors, the IOD, in Ireland has found. However, nearly 72% of directors and business leaders who would still consider applying for a state board position. The new survey was undertaken between February the 20th and 29th, as the RTE corporate governance crisis reignited. It comes amid continuing turmoil at RTE, including the resignation of board member PJ Matthews last week, shortly after board chairperson Siún Rathalley quit following comments from Media Minister Catherine Martin. The surprise resignation of Miss Rathalley, following months of bruising interaction with executives, fellow board members, politicians and media, has shone a spotlight on the potential workload and profile that can be associated with chairing a state board. State board roles are not high paying. The fee for the chair of the RTE board is €31,500. Which is pittance. Now, if I was getting that, I wouldn't mind. But it's pittance when you consider the workload and the responsibility that's there. Now, I must say, this is an article that I spotted yesterday, I think. And since then, it's been announced that the government is going to look at changing that. All right, the fee for ordinary board members at the broadcaster is €15,750 per year. Under the so-called one person, one salary policy, public sector workers do not get any extra pay for sitting on state boards. Miss Martin is facing, this is Catherine Martin, the media minister, is facing a particular challenge filling the role, but that's done. That's okay. Most surveyed think that a code of practice for governance of state bodies is effective and feel governance standards has improved since its launch in 2016. Is that the time already? Institute of Directors Ireland CEO Caroline Spillane said that the results shone a light on the reputational concerns directors now had. She said that there were also concerns raised on the recruitment process in respect of the relevant experience and skills. Directors also expressed the desire for the code to be revised to reflect the latest in governance developments. The directors surveyed are all members of the IOD Ireland, drawn from a range of businesses, including state and semi-state bodies, not-for-profit organisations, private sector, SMEs and PLC multinationals. Meanwhile, Higher Education Minister Simon Harris has described as sensible a proposal to put the national broadcaster back under the control of the Comptroller and Auditor General. Mr Harris also indicated a new chair of RTE could be appointed when that's done. It must have been Monday that I spotted this story. He said that the appointment is extremely important, and his hope is that the appointment can happen this week, which is done, and government is trying to do that. Yeah, they did it. Secondly, he said that the publication of the Public Accounts Committee's report is really important. A lot of the recommendations sound very common sense, and he suggested that putting RTE back under the control of the Comptroller and Auditor General is a sensible thing to do. On the future funding of the national broadcaster, Mr Harris insisted that the Cabinet was going to settle this question. Asked about a time frame, Mr Harris said that RTE management hadn't exactly made it easy. I heard an interview, actually, if I'm not mistaken, and it was on Sunday on TV or on radio, and he was quite upbeat and quite relaxed. A nice interview. Yeah, it was. Here's new music from Hermitage Green, All You Can Be.
Where have you been hiding? Where did you come from? The world's more exciting. Now you come along. Keep on trying, be all that you need, and over your mother's shoulder I started to sing. We offer up our hand. We offer up our hand. We offer up our hand. Oh, you've been the joy you bring right from the start, right from the start. Oh, you've been blowing up my shit right from the start, right from the start. What else can you say? Unless you are getting older, love be all you can be. We offer up our hand. We offer up our hand. We offer up our hand.
That's brand new music from Hermitage Green. It's called All You Can Be. It is Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain. Good evening and welcome. Do hope you're enjoying Live on Eire, the Irish programme. I'm going to take a very quick break, and after that I'm going to play for you a little conversation that I had with the Irish ambassador to Spain, Ambassador Frank Smith, and the marketing manager for Tourism Ireland Spain, Susan Bulger. That conversation happened yesterday, and it's all to do with St. Patrick's. So there we go. I'll be back to you in just a moment.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
Sunday, 17th of March, is St. Patrick's Day, and as is the norm over the last number of years, I'm delighted to say that we are joined from Madrid by the Irish Ambassador to Spain, Frank Smith. Ambassador Smith, it's lovely to have you on the programme again. Thank you for taking time to talk to us and to wish us well for St. Patrick's Day.
It's great to be back. Thank you very much.
Back by popular demand. You're not flying solo this time, though, because a name that maybe listeners would have heard down through the years as well, but somebody who's very important in the whole marketing of the island of Ireland in Spain is the marketing manager of Tourism Ireland Spain, Susan Bulger. Susan, you're very welcome to the programme as well, and thank you for joining the Ambassador and myself today.
Thanks very much, Ger. Delighted to be here.
I know, because I've mentioned over the last number of weeks that there is a lot happening in Spain. In Madrid particularly, but indeed across Spain as well for St. Patrick's. And we'll talk to you a little bit about that and about the numbers of people and exactly what you do and how you do it as we go along. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I'm going to start firstly with you, Ambassador, if I can, please. It seems like a few hours ago since we spoke about around Christmas time for the traditional Christmas message from you. How have the last 3 months or the last 2 months been for everybody at the Irish Embassy in Madrid?
Yeah, fine. Thanks. Busy as usual, including because of the big number of visitors who come from Ireland. Susan, gets her job is to get the Spanish to visit Ireland. The embassy here deals a large part of our job is to deal with cases involving Irish tourists and Irish visitors who come to Spain. We're at a point now where about 2.6 million travelled here between August 2022 and August 2023, which is basically 50% of the population of Ireland is coming to visit Spain. And obviously, things happen. People lose their passports. People become ill, have accidents. So that's an important part of our work. Also, the new Spanish government is in office, since November. So we're obviously following that closely. And I suppose another important element for us is obviously business links. And last week, for instance, we had Minister Oisin Smith visiting Barcelona for the World Mobile Congress, which is Europe's biggest technology event, I suppose you could call it. 95,000 people visiting there. All the big technology companies, and the minister was there, obviously in his capacity, as a minister with a responsibility for digitalization and e-government. So those they're the sort of issues that are with us kind of day in, day out, and obviously with St. Patrick's Day coming, that's a particularly important and busy time of the year. It's also a year that sees us collaborating very closely with our colleagues in Ireland House here. Susan's team in Tourism Ireland is one of them. The others are Board Bia and Enterprise Ireland. So it's a team effort in that respect. All shoulders to the wheel, if I could say, and I think it's very true to say, Susan's two shoulders have very much been to the wheel for preparations for St. Patrick's, not just St. Patrick's Day, as it's called here. It's Semana de Irlanda this year. It's basically Ireland Week or St. Patrick's Week. It's no longer a day, but we can. You'll hear more about that from Susan as we go along.
Absolutely. This time of the year is a time when politicians spread themselves across the world. They shake hands. They do the right thing. They encourage tourism. They encourage inward investment. They do a huge amount of really good work. And I know that Spain is always very high on the agenda for people to travel to. Who are you expecting for St. Patrick's Week, Semana de Irlanda, this particular year?
Yeah, we're expecting the Count Corla, Sean O'Farrell, who's a TD for Kildare. He's coming. He'll spend 3 and a bit days in Madrid, and then he will go on, as is normal for the visitor to Madrid. He will then complete his tour or his visit in Portugal. So, just you touch on the fact that many politicians leave the island of Ireland for St. Patrick's Day, and it's true. It's it's a huge, I think, unique opportunity. I don't think any other country has the level of access and the level of recognition on a particular day. It's something that I think certainly some of my colleagues here would envy in terms of just the access we have and the prominence that it gives to Ireland, for promoting us in all respects, whether it's tourism, whether it's business, whether it's politician to politician connections. It's all very, 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 very important for us. So from that perspective, the visitor to Count Corla here, he's obviously a very senior member of the Dáil. It's very welcome, and we have a busy programme for him.
Right. Let me talk to Susan, if I can, Susan, before we talk specifically about Semana de Irlanda. Let me ask you about marketing the island of Ireland in Spain. Is it an easy gig? I know you're very busy, but is it something that people kind of say, Ireland, absolutely, love to go, or is it a tough slog?
Well, look, Ger, it's a real privilege to be part of Tourism Ireland or Turismo de Irlanda team here in Spain. We have a clear job to do, and that's to increase the value of overseas tourism to the island of Ireland. And we do that to support economies and communities and the environment by inspiring our visitors and strengthening the key strategic partnerships on the ground. Is it an easy job? It's a great job, and we're very lucky, as Ambassador Frank Smith has said, we have unique cultural moments such as St. Patrick's Day that we can really leverage to drive awareness for the island of Ireland. For Spanish visitors to Ireland, they really want to experience our landscapes, the warmth of our people, and indeed our culture. So we are positioned very well against our competitors to deliver on business from Spain to Ireland in that regard. So we hold our position in Turismo de Irlanda and the work that we do here in Spain in a very privileged manner.
Is Ireland connected well enough to Spain and to Europe?
It's a great question, Ger, and we are very well connected because in terms of both sides of inbound and outbound tourism, as Ambassador mentioned, there are many Irish people that holiday in Spain. Our focus is, of course, primarily on the inbound opportunity, so from Spain to the island of Ireland. And I can tell you that the seat capacity for Ireland for the full year 2023 was 102% of 2019 levels. So we are recovering really well in terms of our air access picture. And indeed, that's a very similar 106% for Spain, particularly in April 2024. So we are well positioned to deliver on bums on seats. Main focus for us, of course, though, in Tourism Ireland, aligned with our vision to support economies and communities, is all about regional access. So in terms of that inbound picture, so where do the Spanish holidaymakers come from? And they mainly come from the areas of Madrid, Catalonia and northern Spain. So that is a critical focus for us in terms of key gateways. And part of that, of course, would also be the regional access. So we are lucky to have direct access with Ryanair from Barcelona to Cork. That flight was a new flight that started in winter 2023, and it's going to be available right through till October 2024. We also have direct access from Barcelona to Belfast, which is fantastic with EasyJet. So those regional access routes are critical in terms of our revenue growth in years to come.
And who would you work with then? Who do you and your team work with back on the island of Ireland? Are you working with a particular group in Dublin or Belfast or both? Because it is an all island approach for you, isn't it?
Exactly, Ger. So we work with industry from across the island of Ireland. So we have two jobs to do in terms of our strengthening strategic partnerships. So we would have our job in working hand in hand with the industry to facilitate opportunities for the industry to close the sale, essentially. So a big part of the work that we do here would be in terms of setting up what we would call B2B events in order to engage our Island of Ireland industry with Spanish buyers. Our Spanish buyers at local level would be the likes of tour operators, travel agencies, airlines and sea carriers as well, of course, because we do have direct access by sea with our friends at Brittany Ferries. We have 2 sailings per week from Bilbao to Rosslare. So throughout the year, we have a programme of various events in person. We have a roadshow where we would hit our key cities and we would facilitate meetings between industry on the island of Ireland with local Spanish buyers. And throughout the year, we would have other platforms that may be, for example, online webinars. We have platforms such as our e-signs and our LinkedIn channel as well. So we would have an always-on approach to our communications with our business partners.
I know that when you do an event or run an event such as Semana de Irlanda, a lot of work, preparation, planning goes into all of that. A lot of work happens when it's all going on. But then when it's finished, there's a lot of work to try and find out how well did this work? So how do you dig into those experiences and say, okay, this is what it was worth to us, or this is how successful it was? Have you got a way of measuring that?
We sure do, and that's a great question, Ger, because we're very much data-driven in terms of all of our activations, whether that be consumer publicity or indeed our business. In terms of Semana de Irlanda, so just to, I suppose, paint a picture for our listeners about Semana de Irlanda. So Ireland Week essentially is our opportunity as a cultural moment in the calendar to springboard essentially what is the tourism season as well, because it's perfectly aligned in terms of March is when everything really does kick off. What St. Patrick's Day does for us is that it gives us that story to tell. And in Madrid, I think sometimes perhaps maybe as an Irish person, we can take for granted the importance of St. Patrick's Day in a way, in the sense that at a global level, it really is our moment to shine, because as the ambassador said earlier, those are our competitors who can look on us with envy, because we have this unique global celebration with our friends here in Spain, indeed, that we can celebrate together all of the connections and the ties that we have. So that's essentially what we do. For the Team Ireland approach, which is Semana de Irlanda or Ireland Week this year, we have events running from the 11th of March right through till St. Patrick's Day. The events are events that can be attended by the public throughout the week. They include music, dance, literature. We also have participation this year, which we're very excited about, by the Spanish Armada Ireland group and Sligo County Council, that they're going to tell the story of the Spanish Armada. That'll happen on the Tuesday of that week. But in a nutshell, the entire week, I suppose, gives us lots of ways to influence and to inspire our visitors. So to go back to your question of how do we measure that? Sorry, I went about a long way on that one. But there's different strands to it. So if we look at this in terms of opportunities to see, so that would be our publicity reach. So we utilise Semana de Irlanda or Ireland Week in order to generate positive media coverage for all of these events that are happening to drive that awareness. So that's a metric that we measure as reach or opportunities to see, which, based on our previous St. Patrick's Day promotions, we would certainly be aiming for a number of around 10 million opportunities to see this year. Okay, that's just from the publicity perspective. Then if we also look at our social media engagement, so we at Descubrir Irlanda is our name in Spanish across our channels, our social media channels. We have an active audience of almost 500,000 followers and fans that indeed engage with all of our content that we share. So what we would strive from all of our posts and communications is that we'd have a very high engagement rate, and that we're conversing, I suppose, with our audience, and we're getting them involved in the events as well as those tangible moments that we have. So they would be the two main metrics that we look at. But this year, in extension of the strengthening partnerships and the work that we do with the island of Ireland, as I mentioned earlier, we facilitate opportunities to organise business events. And on the Wednesday evening of Semana de Irlanda this year, we have 7 industry coming from the island of Ireland to do just that at an event with 40 Spanish buyers. So we will facilitate a presentation evening where we'll kick off and we'll talk about all of the great things that the island of Ireland has to offer in 2024 to make sure that we are a must-visit destination for all of these Spanish buyers. And we'll facilitate the opportunity for the industry to sell their product as well. To get front of mind.
All right. I'm going to go back to Ambassador Smith, if I may, just for a moment before we get into the nitty-gritty of what's happening on Ireland Week. Ambassador, in all of this, what's your role with, all of the plans that are put in place by Susan and her team? I know that you'll have the Ceann Comhairle there with you, but as ambassador, are you expected to be at these events? Do you host various receptions for people? What will you be doing?
Yeah, no, I would be expected to. And I mean, I'm in the lucky position of having, some great people around me, including Susan and her team, that are putting the program in place. And, the Ceann Comhairle is obviously the most important visitor we have coming. So he will attend, I think, just about, all of the events, and they range from, concerts to lunches to an event relating to the Spanish Armada, cultural, historical sort of event. There's also the normal reception, which will take place on Wednesday, the 13th, in the house, the Irish Ambassador's house here in Madrid, which will, over the space of a few hours, we'll have probably about 300 people through the house. So it's very much to bring the Irish in Madrid to the attention of the Ceann Comhairle, to show what the Irish are doing, whether it's in business, culture, sport, all fields that they're in. Also to introduce the Spanish to him, particularly Spanish people with whom we have connections. When I say we, I mean the embassy, I mean Tourism Ireland, Enterprise Ireland, and also our colleagues on board BIA. I suppose really to welcome them, to very much signal to them that they're part of our world, our family here. These are people we see. Sometimes we see a lot of some of them. We have less interaction with others, but they're all important to us. And I suppose by bringing as many of them to the events during the week, whether it's the reception, whether it's maybe a lunch, whether it's a concert, whatever it might be, is to reach out to them. In a way, it's almost to thank them or to signal to them that they are very much part of our network. Susan's the people that Susan spoke about there in the last few minutes. The people in the trade or in the business, the travel business. These people are absolutely crucial to getting Ireland out among Spanish consumers, Spanish tourists. So it's really to reach out to them and to thank them for their collaboration. Maybe it's almost like Christmas in a way. It's almost like it's the big event of the year, and it's when we like to reach out to them. And we're reaching out to them all year long, but this is a very particular occasion. And having a senior politician present is a way. It's a way of showing them. It's a way of manifesting that we do treasure them, we do value them, and that the Irish state is aware of the connections that they've built, that they've maintained, that they're hoping to build into the future, to strengthen the links between us. Again, whether it's in the tourism sector, whether it's in maybe IT, maybe it's in education. There's many thousands of Irish students or Spanish students go to Ireland every year. So it's a whole. There's Erasmus students here. So there's a whole web of connections. It's sometimes hard to keep track of them all and to bring them all together. But this is a very, very important. The fact that there are a week of events. There's also after the Ceann Comhairle has gone. There are other events. The Spanish-Irish Business Network is organising an event here on Saturday in Madrid for Irish families with sporting issue with sporting elements to it, with music elements. There's also a parade, obviously, here in Madrid as well on Saturday. So there's a whole range of events where we would hope to be able to ride the wave of St. Patrick's Day to reach out and touch as many of the people that we deal with during the year.
You mentioned the fact that a senior politician from Ireland would come to Spain on an occasion like this, and how important that is, and it is. What's the level of interaction then with politicians, the Spanish politicians? Do some of them get invited? Do they come along? Do they meet, let's say, the Count Corla, or take part in some of the events?
Sure, he was certainly. We've arranged a meeting for him with his counterpart, the Speaker, the Count Corla, the President of the Spanish Parliament. So he will meet her, and that would be the normal sort of meeting for him. He's not a minister, so he doesn't have ministerial responsibility. So in that sense, we wouldn't have the normal interaction with, let's say, in previous years, ministers have come to visit. We would put them in touch with their counterparts. But some of them will be invited, and some of them will attend some of the events during the week, some of these politicians. And so from that perspective, and not just politicians, also local people who are in the artistic community, the business community, the cultural community as well. So it's really a whole range of people. But he'll be introduced to everybody we can introduce him to, quite frankly. Again, in order to just signal to them that we have senior political presence here. It's a mark of respect for Spain. Spain is the fourth largest country in the EU in terms of population. It's also the fourth largest in terms of its economy. It has a strong voice at the table. We share many values, many positions with them on the international stage, including, for instance, we're working particularly closely with them on the situation in the Middle East, where we have a very, very close position to theirs, a very similar position. So from that point of view, it's also to signal to Spain that it's a signal of respect. I mean, I think when a lot of people think of St. Patrick's Day, they'll think of maybe the English-speaking world, the US, Australia, New Zealand, Britain, where a lot of our a huge number of our diaspora are situated, bigger than in many EU countries. But at the same time, there are other angles to why we want to engage with people in the non-English speaking world, including because they're EU partners, because they're near neighbours, because we have similar positions to them on a range of issues at the international level. So that explains the background, that it's not just the critical places, and obviously they are critical, the US and Britain, and Australia, Canada, New Zealand. These are very, very important places for us, historically, culturally, politically, but also it's very important that from an EU perspective, that our political class visits EU countries, which they're doing in force over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, let me go back to Susan and find out a little bit more about what we can expect for Semana de Irlanda. You've mentioned, Susan, what's happening on Monday and Tuesday. Tell me about the parade. When I was talking to the ambassador at Christmas time, he mentioned that one of the highlights for him was the parade in Madrid, because it hadn't been done previously. And he was hoping that it was going to happen again this year, and thankfully it is. It's going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit better. I was thinking myself at some point that if you could align it with one of the farmers' protests, you'd have the farmers and the tractors that we have in Ireland going through Madrid with the Irish flags on it, maybe. So tell us, what can we expect?
Yeah, so for the parade, we're really excited. This year is the second edition of the parade. The parade is being organised by a bagpiper from Asturias. Brass Rodrigo is behind it, with the help of sponsors and partners as well. And it will take place at 4:30 on Saturday, the 16th of March, along Gran Via, which we know is like the Broadway of Madrid. And it's expected to be attended by around 50,000 people. In terms of the parade itself, they will have over 500 pipers participate in this parade. In addition, and in comparison to last year, there's going to be a lot more entertainment. So the UCD dancers or from the Dance Society will participate in the parade. These are the dancers that are working with us, Ger, at Metro de Madrid. For the whole week, we're taking over some of the stations, which I can talk you through. But there are participation from other community groups, big support from the Spanish Irish Business Network this year as well. The local GAA team, Madrid Harps, they will also take part in the parade. There'll be more entertainment. We potentially will have an Oscar Wilde or a James Joyce on skates.
Lovely.
There'll be lots of shamrocks to be seen as well. So it's shaping up to be a very joyful moment for Madrileños and Madrileñas to be surprised indeed, and to shine a bright light along that Broadway for St. Patrick's Day celebration. So yeah, we're really excited for the parade in its second year.
All right. And the Metro, talk me through that, because last year that was a huge success for you.
And
a great bit of fun as well.
It was so much fun. So last year, what we did with Metro was that we took over the San Bernardo station to rename it to San Patricio, and we had UCD Dance Society dancers and musicians there all week long, surprising the commuters, and it worked really, really well. And I think Madrid enjoyed the entertainment as much as we did in terms of the results and the publicity efforts that it generated. This year, what we plan to do is to take over the Green Line of the Underground. So we will be promoting performances again with UCD Dance Society from the Tuesday, the 12th of March, right through till the 17th. We're going to take over 3 different stations. We will be performing at Opera on Tuesday, Callao on Wednesday and Thursday, and then in line with the parade happening on Saturday, we'll be taking over Gran Via on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. The performances will be from 6 to 8 p.m. during the week, and on the weekend it will be from 12 to 2 p.m. In particular, we're excited this year with Gran Via because not only is it one of the most iconic metro stations of the Metro network, but it also is one of the most modern metro stations, and we will turn their blue lights to green all week long, and they have a major screen in the station, and we will have imagery of Ireland inspiring the commuters as well during 3 days. So we are very much excited for that. But really the gem on the crown this year, as to say, would be the kickoff with Carlos Núñez. So well-known Spanish musician Carlos Núñez, who recently headlined one of the main acts as well of Tradfest, will open up our Semana de Irlanda with a concert at the Nave de Motores Museum, which is being led by Brittany Ferries. So how do you bring Brittany Ferries, a ferry company, to Madrid? Well, we've done that through Nave de Motores, because essentially that museum is a museum of motor engines. The motor engines that are in this iconic museum here in the heart of Madrid houses these motor engines that are of the age of Titanic. So it very much has a mechanical smell, sensation and everything to go with it. So Carlos will kick off Semana de Irlanda on Monday. Just to give you a quick run through, of course, everything and the whole program is available on semanadeirlanda.es in Spanish, or semanadeirlanda.es. On the Monday evening, the embassy is hosting film and will showcase notes from Sheepland at Casa de Vacas, which is the cultural centre in Retiro. The concert with Carlos Nunez and Brittany Ferries is happening at 8 o'clock on Monday. Then we jump into Tuesday and we have a gastronomy delights at Mercado de la Paz, where we recently held Halloween events in the centre of Madrid. They will be run by Board Bia. In Tuesday particular is also our Spanish Armada Day. So I mentioned that earlier on, that we have the support this year of Spanish Armada Ireland and Sligo County Council. So we are supporting both those partners to raise awareness of the events and the wreckages that happened at Strida and along the Wild Atlantic Way by highlighting their annual commemoration festival and sharing the story of the Cuellar Trail along the Wild Atlantic Way. At these two events, there will also be a launch of the docudrama Armada 1588 Shipwreck and Survival, and these events will be attended by media and general public. So Tuesday is very much our Spanish Armada Day. Then we jump into Wednesday, and again, we have food delights with Board Bia in the morning, and we have dance throughout. On Thursday, we're really excited because it's a literary event evening happening at Bookstore Desperate Literature. We'll have readings from Irish author Shane Tivenin, and of course music to go along with that. On Friday evening, there's also a major concert that will happen at the Teatro Monumental at 10 o'clock that evening with a lineup of great musicians and dancers. That brings us into Saturday for indeed the parade, which is also followed by another concert by Brass Rodrigo and also supported by Guinness, because they currently have a competition running to find a band essentially to participate in that concert. And then Sunday ends with a wonderful showcase by Irish Treble dance group, who will also offer a show that night to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. So all in all, Ger, there's a lot going on, and we're absolutely thrilled and excited to get involved in it all and to enjoy this moment with our Spanish friends.
And one of the great things that crossed my mind as you were going through the programme there, which is very extensive, is that anybody listening now who wants to come to Madrid and be part of it, it's not like Dublin where the prices are extraordinarily expensive for hotels and accommodation. There's so much accommodation available in Madrid. It's just another week. It's just another weekend. And it could be a very affordable getaway for people, couldn't it?
It sure could. That's a great idea, Ger, for sure. And to mention as well, you know, we know that there are lots of events happening across Spain too, not only in Madrid, and the embassy do a great job of collating all of that information and share that newsletter out. We are also sponsoring in Tortosa. There's a festival happening from the 15th to the 17th of March. On the 16th of March, there will be Gaelic football as well with the association Lagoon Cara. And in Barcelona, of course, there is a Mediterranean Cara event that is also being held on the 17th. We know that there are other parades that happen in Alicante too. So if the listeners can't make it to Madrid, I'm sure there's a local St. Patrick's Day celebration of sorts close to them as well. But we would love to have as many visitors come and enjoy that moment, and as always inspire our Spanish friends to come and visit us in the island of Ireland very, very soon.
All right, let me go back finally to the ambassador, if I can. Ambassador Smith, thank you for your patience and standing by as we were going through all of the details of Semana de Irlanda. Let me just ask you in relation to what might be on the calendar for you in the next couple of months. We have the European elections coming. Will that make any difference to the embassy, the fact that the European elections are happening across the bloc? And maybe anything else that might be on the agenda that you might like to highlight for us for the coming year?
Sure. Well, the elections would be important in the sense that they're, Spain, returns a relatively large number of members of the European Parliament. So from that point of view, it's something that we would be following closely. And the way the European Parliament works is you have families of parties. So they, the parties here in Spain would have links to parties in Ireland and collaborate with them in Brussels, depending on which groups they're in. We will have not long after St. Patrick's Day, we will have a visit of Minister Eamon Ryan will be in Spain in the north of Spain for a wind power related event, a very big annual event which happens to be in Spain this year. It's not in Spain every year, so that's immediately after St. Patrick's Day, our attention will turn to that, and then I have to say well, of course, the inward, that's where the inward movement of Irish tourists really begins to pick up. So that's something that we would look very closely at. We'd have to not just look closely at it. We provide a service there. Whether it's provision of emergency travel documents or other sorts of consular assistance to people who are in need and in distress. So that's and there's a regular throughput or a regular number of visitors of ministers as the year goes by. So for the immediate term, though, the focus is obviously on St. Patrick's Day, and it really is, as Susan has outlined there. Really, what we're trying to do is put Ireland on the map in every respect that we possibly can in order to promote the country. To potential tourists, to potential business partners, to potential students who might wish to go and study in Ireland, either at second level or at the university level. So really, that is our job here in Ireland House. As I say, the embassy is part of Ireland House. We have Tourism Board BIA and Enterprise Ireland, so we collaborate very, very closely on that, and we will leave no stone unturned over the next 10 days or so to make sure that every aspect of Ireland that can be shown will be shown here in Spain. And as you hear, there'll be people getting it piped into them live in the metro station in Gran Via. But there'll be many other options, including outside Madrid. And Susan has mentioned them. The embassy will put up on our Twitter feed a list of the events. If I could, maybe single out one that Susan's mentioned, the one in Barcelona, which is a major area for Irish tourists to be at all times of the year, is a particularly colourful. It's a really beautiful event run by an Irish, driven and inspired by an Irish artist out there for many years, and strongly recommend that anybody in the Barcelona area would make their way to the Curragh event there, because it's actually beautiful on the eye as an event, and a lot of hard graft goes into it, as well as artistic. As well as the artistic beauty of it. So strongly recommend that. If people are in Madrid Monday to Sunday, because it's a full week, it seems, we'll be looking out for them.
All right. Finally, to you, Susan, if I can, I know that Halloween is a particularly good time for promotion as well. And you did a fabulous event last Halloween. You did something around Bloomsday in June as well. So you've got these little trigger points coming up along. Anything really exciting that you want to tell us about, or do we have to wait?
I think we might have to wait for that one, Ger, but know that we will definitely be working on these moments, because what they really offer us are these standout, disruptive key points in the calendar that we can drive that awareness above and beyond our competitors. And again, we are very unique in that regard. We are lucky to have these amazing celebrations that bring Ireland to the fore of people's minds. So we will definitely be working up a storm for Bloomsday 2024, and again for Halloween to delight our Spanish friends.
Fantastic. All righty. And I suppose there's only one real ambassador, but any of us that are in Spain over the St. Patrick's celebrations, we're all ambassadors for the country, and to try and encourage our Spanish neighbours to visit the lovely country and to promote it and to talk it up and celebrate it as much as we possibly can. Am I right? I am. Okay.
This is it, yeah. you said the right words, but Ger, this is it. This is our unique selling point, is the warmth of Irish people. This is what makes us different for everybody. And in that regard, there is no better then all of our wonderful Irish friends who live and work here in Spain to do that and encourage more visitors to come to the island of Ireland. So thanks for making that point, Ger, because it is great. And it just, at the end of the day, it is about having crack. It's about having the warm connections with everyone. And we're really delighted and privileged to have that support of the Irish community here in Spain. So thanks in advance, and looking forward to following all the St. Patrick's celebrations across Spain online too.
All right. Ambassador Smith, would you like to do your traditional St. Patrick's Day greeting then and your message, please?
Yeah, no, of course. Just to wish everybody, whether they're in Ireland or Spain or in both places over the next 10, 15 days, all the best for the season that's in it. And, if they're in Spain, obviously we hope to maybe trip over each other at some event or other.
All righty.
Thank you.
I'm going to leave it there. Susan Bolger, Tourism Ireland Marketing Manager in Spain, thank you very much for talking to me. Lovely to have an extended conversation with you. I know we've spoken on the phone and we've spoken briefly in the past. And Ambassador Frank Smith, as always, thank you for taking time in your busy schedule to talk to us around St. Patrick's, and wish you and everybody at the embassy a very happy St. Patrick's Day as well.
Thank you very much.
Ger.
Basic living with basic news, basic updates, 'cause no new screws, basic presents, basics not in my roots, not in my roots, not in my broken free from that. This is what works. I feel different, and I know that I'm open to start fresh, rewrite. Thoughts come to me like I'm sure I haven't looked at the moon for a minute. That silver white view, I feel that this is overdue. Haven't looked at the moon for a minute. That bright view. No stars, no clouds, clear sky and moon. Clear skies and moon. Feel vibrations as I'm walking around. Good energy, this I hope. With this I don't choke. So what you spoke, it didn't affect me. It's only me that can truly respect me. Oh no, I didn't do it again. For sure this isn't me against myself. I'm wishing the basic things, spread my wings, take on the world and all that brings. Sing, 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 sing to myself. I'm praying 'cause my health is my wealth. Freedom, is that you, freedom? I want that freedom, free from my demons. I haven't looked at the moon for a minute. That silver white view, I feel that this is overdue. Haven't looked at the moon for a minute. That bright view. No stars, no clouds, clear sky and moon. Haven't looked at the moon for a minute. That silver white view. I feel that this is overdue. Haven't looked at the moon for a minute. That bright view. No stars, no clouds.
nice, isn't it? Unusual. Rockstrong, Rockstrong, and new music from him. That's a song that's called Moon. I haven't heard of Rockstrong before, so it was nice when that landed, so I could take a listen to it, and glad to bring it to you tonight. A survey of people in 5 Irish cities. I must preface this by saying this got tremendous exposure on the media, but I heard one very seasoned radio presenter tear it asunder, and the comments that were coming to this presenter reflected that he was on the right track. So let me tell you about it. A survey of people in 5 Irish cities has found most would like to walk, wheel or cycle more. And most want the government to shift investment away from road building schemes and toward active travel infrastructure or public transport. The Walking and Cycling Index 2023 is based on opinions expressed by people in Cork, Waterford, Limerick, Galway and Dublin. The research commissioned by the National Transport Authority found that walking, wheeling and cycling in these cities prevents 680,000 car trips every day, bringing climate, public health and economic benefits. Wheeling is defined as the use of wheeled mobility aids like wheelchairs or mobility scooters. Sustrans surveyed a representative sample of more than 1,000 residents in each area, not just cyclists and walkers across all 5. There was a majority support for giving more space and investment to walking and cycling. Most respondents were also in favour of 20-minute city initiatives to create communities with all services within easy reach and low traffic neighbourhoods. Around half thought cycling safety is good in their city, and most said that they would be more likely to cycle if there were more segregated cycle routes. Across the 5 cities, most respondents supported school streets, where roads outside schools are closed to cars during pick-up and drop-off times. The survey found that more than half of the adults canvassed walk 5 or more days a week, more than 15% cycle at least once a week, and many would like to walk and cycle or cycle more. So there we go. I won't add anything to that now. There's the information for you. That's it. We're almost done and dusted. I'm back next Monday, just for the day. Well, not for the entire day, just between 4 and 6 for Hannah. She can't be with you next Monday, so if you can join me next Monday, that'd be great. Thank you to Ambassador Frank Smith, the Irish Ambassador to Spain, and to Susan Bulger, the Marketing Manager of Tourism Ireland in Spain, for talking to me about Semana de Irlanda. Thank you to Patricia Traynor, for her story on waterfalls. As always, thank you to our Spanish-Irish Cultural Advisor, Antonio Sierra, and thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly did, and I'll see you on Monday or next Wednesday. Bye-bye now.
Ger Sweeney presents Live on Eire in association with emeraldconnection.net.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.